Good evening and welcome to Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here, along with the silent assassin Matt Costa and science advisor Matt Moniz. We are here to talk about the paranormal as we are each and every Saturday night. So glad to be with you, and so glad to be here with both of you.
Glad to be with you too, Tim.
I never say that enough, but I appreciate you. All right, let's not make it weird. We are here to talk about the paranormal, and you can do that as well with us throughout the course of the program. 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. You can join us in the chat room at SpookySouthCoast.com or on the Spooky South Coast YouTube channel. And if you are not a subscriber yet to the Spooky South Coast YouTube channel, what are you waiting for? If you sign up and subscribe, then every time we go live on a Saturday night, you'll get a reminder to let you know that we've gone live. So you can tune in and catch the show as it happens. But of course, if you can't, we do put it up after the fact. There's tons and tons of videos up there. And we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of podcasts of the audio version of the show for you as well, wherever you get your podcasts. But we love it when you join us live. We love it when you're here with us on a Saturday night as we're sitting in the spooky studio and you are wherever you are, joining us and adding to the magic of the program. And I'm glad I didn't wear my Spooky South Coast shirt tonight, Moniz, because we would have been twins. And you know how weird it gets when we both wear the same shirt. Because then people look at us and they say, oh, you guys twins? Oh, even though we look nothing alike.
Speaking of shirts, I hear through the grapevine that we are going to be getting more, huh?
There's a request for more. There's a request for us to order some and have them up for sale. So I got to check in with our guy, with Vinny, and see what his workload is like. This is the busy time of the year for him because not only does he create all the t-shirt designs and put out all the products for all these paranormal conventions, but he goes to them.
Yeah.
So he's, in addition to having to get all these orders ready, he's also traveling around the country himself. So I'll have to see. And it's, you know, it was one thing when John Brightman was working with him and helping him out, and I could be like, hey, John, you know, can you sneak out a run of spooky shirts for us this week? But now it's, you know, Vinny's just always backlogged with work, which is just a sign of him. Yeah, and it's a sign of what good quality he does. I mean, those original Spooky South Coast shirts,
they're still holding up.
They're almost 10 years old now.
Yeah.
So we got those in, 2009?
Yeah.
So for them to still be holding up the way they did, way better than those Cafe Press shirts did.
God.
I still have my original Cafe Press Spooky South Coast shirt tucked away in a drawer.
Yeah, same here.
But I'm just pretty sure that if I ever take it out, it'll just disintegrate. Those were not good shirts. And we never got the thong, so we don't know how good quality the thong was.
Don't want to go there.
But generally, I mean, a thong is hard to wreck. I'm sure the elasticity eventually wears out, but
yeah,
it's not like a shirt where you can stain it, and you know, sometimes you rip your shirts on a screen door like I do with every single one of my shirts, and every one of my shirts has a hole in the back for when my screen door catches me. So yeah, we'll order some more shirts. We just got to check with Vinny, and I know everybody keeps coming at us with all these ideas like, why don't you go here and get your shirts from here? And if you go to this site, they only print them when people order them, so you don't have to have a whole bunch of them in stock. And we like to work with the local businesses.
Yep.
We like to work with, and Vinny's our friend, so we definitely want to work with our friend. And also,
we actually turned him on to the paranormal too, didn't we?
We did. We got him involved in all this stuff. One minute he's making shirts for us through Matt. Matt Cost is actually the one that hooked that up, and then the next thing you know, we get him hooked up with Taps Para magazine, and then he's all over the place. Yeah. And I remind him of that every time. But I'm like, you know, what's the rate? Oh, come on, Vinny. You wouldn't be doing this stuff if it wasn't for us. Can't you help us out a little bit? So we will work on that. Also, one of the other things that we are working on is Matt and I were talking about this last week, and I had a conversation with a friend and a listener this week. We've been talking about doing stuff with Patreon. We're actually going to start doing that because I've talked to a few people, and they're like, you need to do it because we would support you. I'm like, well, you can just give us money now.
Sure.
but they like the idea of actually getting something for that money. So I understand that completely. So we will be working on that as well, because I'm convinced after the conversation I had this week that it's just we're losing the chance to connect with our audience in another way and to have them help us out with the show, because people don't realize that. They think because, you know, we're in a fancy radio studio and, you know, we have cameras everywhere and a big screen TV and all that stuff. They think that, you know, we must be getting lots of dollars pumped into the creation of the show, but it's no, we do this all ourselves. I mean, these are all the station's cameras now, but for years it was, we came in every Saturday night, set them, well, I shouldn't say we, Matt set them all up around the studio, and I was getting them wherever I could find them, pawn shops, flea markets, yard sales. You know, every time I got a gift card to Best Buy for Christmas, I'd run out and buy something else that we could use. And that's how we kept the show going for years. So,
and the recordings we used to do through our little 4-channel mixing board,
the website, the podcasting, still to this day, you know, the podcasting, every month we pay for that. So, you know, it's maybe we can work something out. So then I always say, Spooky South Coast, we are the PBS of the paranormal, because we need you to help support us, and we don't want to go to some subscription model, because it's just, it's not us. It's not how we started the show. It's not how we built the show. And to start doing that now, to say to people now, oh, you got to pay $5 or $10 a month to get the show, just wouldn't feel right with the way that we've been doing things. So this is another way to kind of help out with that a little bit.
Us as PBS, Pretty Broke Simpletons.
Right. That is, well, we're already putting the BS in WBSM, so it all works out in the end. And of course, we're also rebroadcast on the Dark Matter Network, and we want to say hi to everybody listening to us there. And I want to say hi to everybody in the chat room. I see lots of folks in there. Oh, we got a big crowd in there tonight. That's we could maybe we'll hit millions of listeners tonight in over 100 countries. It's possible. It's technically possible through the internet. So I guess we can claim that we can do that.
Okay.
It's entirely within the realm of possibility. I do want to make a little bit of a personal announcement myself, because I put this up on my Facebook this week, and I am switching roles. If you remember last week, we started to get a little bit political in some of our discussion, and I said I have to pull back in this because I work in the news department here, and I really can't give opinions on political topics and news topics. I have to remain objective. And I mentioned then that that's because I worked in the newsroom. Well, I won't be working in the newsroom in a couple of weeks because...
Well, I hope you still don't turn this show political.
Well, this just means we can finally do the Trump is a reptilian episode that I want to do. I'm just kidding. I don't think Trump is a reptilian. Actually, we're going to have a guest coming up.
I suspect he may be a robot.
It'd be the worst robot anybody ever made. Like, if you're going to make, like... If you're going to make a robot, don't make one that runs on cheeseburgers and Diet Coke.
Hey, what else is you going to...
I'm not. I don't mean the worst. Like, I'm not commenting on Trump as a cyber person. I just mean in terms of like the physical construction of the robot. You made some poor choices. Like the comb over is not necessary if it's a robot.
Then what's your opinion of like Robbie?
Which Robbie?
Robbie the robot, the original. You know?
Well, are you talking the Lost in Space robot? Or are you talking the?
Well,
are you talking the
predecessor? Well, parts of that actually came from Forbidden Planet.
Forbidden Planet. But are you talking? But you also could have been talking about Robbie the robot from Nintendo, which is my favorite robot of all time.
True. Well, we're getting sidetracked.
Kind of close. I don't know. Robbie the robot from Nintendo. Johnny Five. Oh, Matt, who's the you got to be the tiebreaker. Who are we going with? Are we going with? Well, it's not even Robbie the robot. It's Rob, but everybody calls it Robbie.
Right.
Are we going with?
It's Robbie the robot or
Johnny Five.
Probably Johnny Five, because I mean.
Well, he was alive.
Yeah, and didn't Robbie the robot have to take like those giant like D batteries?
Did he? I never got one. I never got to have one. I've always, it's all that I'm missing from my video game collection that I want. Well, then I need a power glove. But
you need two power gloves. Do they have a left-handed and a right-handed?
They must have. No, you know what I think it was? Wasn't it? Couldn't you have just made the glove go either way?
I'm not sure, and I'm not sure if
Because the controls, if I remember right, the controls would come off the glove.
I'm surprised the ingenuity of the paranormal community hasn't turned a power glove into a paranormal device.
We need a power glove for the paranormal. Like I want to, like the
Right.
ghost arc idea didn't work out so well, but maybe somebody can take the same idea and like adapt it into a power
I think it would
glove.
work.
Like I want to, so
Like an infinity gauntlet, but it
Right.
would be like a
Or a Pip-Boy, if you
Yeah.
for the more updated.
yeah.
so you have like all your devices like on your power glove, like your EMF detector and your EVP recorder and all that, and then when you point it this way, it can turn into a laser grid. But then you got to hold your arm out the whole time you want to run the laser
And
grid.
then a
So that's-
button to call your mom for a ride home.
right? and a compartment that pops up underneath where it keeps Swedish fish.
Snacks, yep. A snack compartment.
That's
Yes.
also
That's
an essential.
perfect, actually.
Well, I want to.
15 minutes. That's how long it took for us to get into.
I wonder if we can get Steve Huff to create one of those. No, probably not. Okay. Actually, there's some paranormal equipment developers that are listening that may actually be able to get that going. So, but anyway, so I was saying, I only brought up the and just to go back to the reptilian thing, we will have a guest coming on in a few weeks who's going to talk to us about his new book, debunking a number of conspiracy theories, including the one that reptilians have replaced a lot of world leaders. So he just confirmed with me right before we came on the show that he's willing to come on, and he'll be, as soon as we can work it out with him, we'll have him come on. But anyway, the reason I brought up the new stuff is because at the end of this month I'll be moving out of the newsroom, and I have a new position here at the station. I will be the digital managing editor, which basically means I'll be overseeing the content that goes on the WBSM website and the Fun 107 website and the social media for both. Why am I talking about this on Spooky South Coast? Not just to toot my own horn, but I am pretty proud of myself for, finally moving into something where I can literally get paid to sit on my butt all day. Well, I mean, I do that now with news, but I have to pay attention. I'm only saying this for Moniz's purpose.
Yeah, I know.
For his benefit, just to make him laugh, and he's not even paying attention. No, but I bring it up because I want everybody out there that's listening to go online, go to the WBSM Facebook page and Twitter account and Instagram account, the Fun 107 Instagram and Facebook and Twitter account, and just add those to your, give them a like, give them a follow, what have you. Both channels on YouTube as well. Help me drive up the numbers so that we can have a lot of new people joining up and seeing where we're going, because I will be putting some paranormal content out there, believe me. That's when I applied for the job. I told them, I said, paranormal stuff will be part of what I do, and they're fine with that, because believe it or not, paranormal stuff is very big. We get a weekly top 11 of some of the stories that are the biggest stories on any of our company's websites, and we're a national company. And so you make this top 11. These are the stories that are big across the entire country. And sure enough, every week there's always one of the different websites is written about a haunted place in their town or in their listening area. So this stuff is huge. Even if we still can't, walk down the street and just talk about it with everybody that we see, people are interested in it more and more. 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420 if you want to join in. And we can actually put calls over the air tonight, so it'll sound a little better. Good evening. You're on Spooky South Coast. How are you? We are spooktacular. What's on your mind?
So I'm a Boy Scout. I've been a Boy Scout for a long time. My name is Brian Cornell, first of all. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia. First-time caller, long-time listener.
Well, thank you for that.
Our condolences.
So I'm a Boy Scout. Been a Boy Scout for a long time. I'm currently 34 years old, and I have a summer camp that I've gone to really all my life since I was 6 years old, and it has sort of a haunted kind of a background to it that nobody really talks about. They're all really hush-hush about it. But they're trying now to incorporate ghost hunting into like what they're doing. I don't want to give out any names, but some people are really uneasy about it. What do you guys think about, introducing ghost hunting into like a scouting aspect as far as learning history and things of that nature?
Well, I personally don't see any problem with it. I actually encourage organizations to use the paranormal as a tool to teach history, to use it as a way to get especially young kids to not only appreciate their history, but to have a respect for some of the places that are out there that are reflective of that history. So, for example, we have the Freetown State Forest near here, where there's a lot of paranormal stuff that goes on in there. And part of teaching people about that is also teaching them that when you go there, you respect the forest and you're reverential to the forest and you take care of the forest. So I think incorporating that with scouts is a great idea, because you're already teaching them to be responsible. You're already teaching them to be stewards of these places that they're going and visiting. And at the same time, you can use it as a way to make what might not grab their interest from an educational perspective. You found a way to now make it interesting, so they're going to pay attention and they're going to not only retain that information, but they're going to go out and they're going to share it with people, friends of theirs who are not scouts. So they're going to go and they're going to tell these ghost stories with this historical information to other kids that they see in school.
Definitely. And that would in turn actually sort of make our organization grow.
But
that interest alive.
There is a lot of concern, though, because there's still that mindset that
it's
telling
a little taboo,
right? I mean, but isn't telling ghost stories part of scouts for
And that's my opinion. I mean, I've sort of introduced it gradually to them. Again, I'm from Virginia, so during our last couple of years of summer camp, we would take a select group of scouts over to Colonial Williamsburg and do a ghost tour there. And so we do that, and we haven't really had any complaints about that. But now we're actually sort of really looking into that whole aspect of Virginia is a very haunted place, and could we really incorporate that with a scouting aspect?
I mean, I think it's a great idea, and I think that the kids will enjoy it, and I think that it will only help to, because you can tell them all these stories, you can tell them all the historical information you want, but it doesn't always sink in.
That also leads into a portion of scouting is researching and learning, and there's even like a story merit badge.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Especially when
that could all be incorporated.
I mean, you could not to tell you how to do the job of teaching the kids, but you could tell them, say, hey, here is this, here's this ghostly legend from this area. I want you to research it. I want you to find out all the historical information, and I want you to write the ghost story, but I want you to include all that information. So I can just tell you that I do a stage show with some friends of ours where we have to do that exact thing, research the ghost stories and actually craft our own versions of the legends. And that makes it stand out in my mind way better than anything that I've, researched just for a nonfiction purpose. Having to craft that story around it actually helps me retain the info, and maybe that'll work the same for the kids.
Indeed. I completely agree.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the call, and let us know how it works out. Keep us up to date on it.
Definitely. Thank you guys for everything you do, and I look forward to hearing more.
All right. Thanks. Have a great night.
You do.
508-996-0500, and that would probably be the only merit badge I would ever earn if I was a scout, because I'm not really very outdoorsy. I mean, I like camping and all that stuff, but...
Well, I think it's a novel idea. Yes, it definitely teaches them how to do research and stuff like that, and get a better appreciation of history. But the scouts being an outdoor activity, centralized theme behind them, I would figure, why not a Bigfoot patch?
Sure. I mean, I think anything that you are doing that keeps them outside, keeps them active, and keeps them not just in the moment, but also going back and looking into the why and the how.
Yep.
Is a good thing. The biggest complaint that I have about and we've gone into an argument about this numerous times on the show over the years, is that historical educational curriculums don't focus enough on their local history. You can go to school for 12 years or 13 years, whatever it is, kindergarten through 12th grade. Yeah. So you can go to school your entire academic career in one single town and never learn anything about your own town's history in all of those years, because the curriculum that they're giving you is teaching you, well, you're going to start with, you know, American history. You're going to start with the colonial era and work your way up to today. And then when you get into high school, you'll take some world history classes, but you never really get the chance to learn about your community's history and to learn about some of the especially here. I mean, I know it's not the same for everywhere, but, you know, we're in the area that the English first, secondly came and settled. And
the English, yes.
Right. So our history, even when we learn it from a local perspective, they're still starting with 1620. You know, they're not, I never learned as a kid in school that the English had been here before 1620. I learned that as an adult later on, or maybe in college.
But you didn't get taught about Jamestown?
No, here. That they didn't come to Plymouth. I didn't learn that they came to Plymouth prior to 1620.
Okay.
I didn't learn that there had been an actual back and forth from this area with England, and then the Pilgrims came here and settled here. Well, not Plymouth, but Massachusetts.
Okay.
I didn't realize that they had been coming back and forth. So for example, I know that Squanto had gone to England, but I didn't know that they had come years prior to the Pilgrims landing, kidnapped Squanto, taken him to England, so it's things like that, little aspects of that history that we didn't learn in school, that it was kind of up to me to find out later on my own. And that's a huge disservice, because you're not teaching, you have the history right there to teach the kids. You know, they take the kids, we're going to be doing an event next month at the Fearing Tavern in Wareham. They take the school kids on a field trip there, and they have them walk through, and they tell them a little bit about it, but Wareham history is not a big part of the school curriculum. You learn a lot of that stuff on your own, reading books later on.
I gotcha.
And so that's always been one of my biggest pet peeves, is that the way that history's curriculum is designed in schools, because the standardized testing that they're making all the kids take now isn't standardized if it has to have the Wareham kids focus with questions on Wareham questions, and the Plymouth kids focus with Plymouth questions, and Des Moines kids have to answer Des Moines questions. So it makes it harder to centralize everything and to standardize everything. But that is your best chance to get excited for history, is to see what history is around you. So that's a big problem for me. I hate the fact that, first of all, not enough money goes into keeping history alive. And people can call in if they want and fight with me and say it's more important to get a road that is currently in use right now in 2018 repaired than it is to restore a building from 1800. We can fight about that. But there's just not enough emphasis put on that. We're going through it right now in Wareham, for example. With
couple of
well, they're through the process right now. They're starting the process of, they'll be rebuilding the Elm Street Bridge, because they want to utilize the Tremont Nail Factory, which has been sitting dormant now for at least 10 years now, I think. Because I think they moved out in 2005.
Well, the big building itself, yeah, but they had a couple of those little office buildings that were off to the side that were still in use till about 5 years ago.
I know that there was a
I'm not talking the part of the big structures, one of the little outbuildings.
Yeah, I forget what the business was. I want to say it had something to do with boats, or sheet metal. But there was one of the buildings was I think it's still in use. But the actual nail factory itself, they're going to be rehabbing it, and they're going to be doing they're still trying to figure out what they're going to be doing with it. But they want to utilize that property, and in order to do that, they have to fix the Elm Street Bridge, and they just got a grant from the state recently that should help cover some of the cost, but not all of it. But they will be starting in winter 2019. They'll start the work on repairing that bridge. So that whole, an entire business went out, an entire store went out of business because of limited access.
Little late now for the country store there, but
but they haven't done anything with it. They haven't sold it. As far as I know, they haven't even taken anything out of it.
You and I both know that place is.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
So, but those are the things that irritate me, and I can preach about teaching local history all night long, but nobody wants to hear that. 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420 if you want to call in and discuss anything with us. I want to bring up a topic that was sent to me via message, and somebody said, can you talk about this on the show? So I want to, first of all, say hi to Ray. Ray is the one who sent in this question. He wanted to know if we could talk a little bit about haunted dolls tonight.
We know a haunted doll or two.
We do, and I actually have one. Well, I don't have it anymore, but in my book, Haunted Objects, that I wrote with Chris Balzano, which you can get now on bookshelves everywhere and on Amazon, and get the ebook and all of that. But we featured a haunted doll in there that was new to the world of the paranormal. We focused on some of the rock star haunted dolls, Robert the Doll and Annabelle, but we also heard from a friend of ours, from a listener, who said, I have a haunted doll, and her name is Claire. And she was nice enough to send Claire to me, and Claire stayed with me for a couple of months while I was working on the book, and Claire liked to mess with the heat in my office, which I never turn on. I didn't even have the switch set to heat. It was the thermostat switch was literally off, because it's just a room off the side of my living room and kitchen, and it runs its own separate zone of heat, and I never felt the need to turn it on and have to run two zones of heat. I always just let the heat roll in. Now,
it's your backdoor entry.
Right.
Basically.
Some people told me that that's not actually the best way to do it, that you want to have your heat zones both on so that it doesn't have to work as hard. Either way, but at the time the heat wasn't on. And I would come into the office and it would be really warm, and it was because somebody had turned on the thermostat and turned up the heat to 80-something degrees. And this was in wintertime. So Claire was used to the Georgia heat where she came from, and was trying to make my office a little bit more like that. So she stayed with me for a little while, and then I gave her back to Jill, and Jill didn't want her in her house, but Jill's mother won't let her get rid of the doll because it was a gift, and so it now resides in a box, very much like Annabelle, in a collection of a voodoo priest. So that's where Claire lives now. Claire's coming up to visit in September.
Oh, really?
We have the Plymouth Paracon happening so the weekend of September 22nd. Claire the Doll was featured on Haunted Towns, which was the show that I just worked on recently. And so we focused on McDonough, Georgia, the town where Claire comes from. And Claire was featured on that episode. And because the Plymouth Paracon is taking on a bit of a Haunted Towns theme, Claire the Doll is coming to visit, and she will be on display, and people can take pictures with her and all that. And supposedly Jill is going to come up as well. If Jill can't come up,
okay,
she's sending Claire to me, and then Claire's going to be in my care again. And I'm not exactly thrilled about that. I'm not afraid of Claire, but I also don't want to be paying exorbitant heating bills again, because back then I had oil heat.
Yeah.
So Claire could do her worst, and eventually I'd just run out of oil, and she couldn't do it anymore. But now I have gas, so that just keeps coming into the house.
Yeah.
And I don't want to open that gas.
That meter
bill
just keeps turning
after she comes and stays. But certainly that's my personal experience with a haunted doll. And if you read the book, you can read about Chris Balzano's personal experience with Robert the Doll. He went down to visit Robert in Key West.
I visited him as well.
Yeah, you've actually had the chance to kind of be one-on-one with him.
Yeah.
Like Chris saw him in the case. You've seen him out of the case, right?
Yeah. I actually helped him set him up on the chair.
How'd that go for you?
Not bad. I have respect for things, and whether I believe or not, I can still have respect. So better safe than sorry.
Right. That's there's nothing wrong with that. 508-996-0500.
Well, you also have the Newkirks that you
right. Oh, we'll definitely talk about that at some point too. But let me put this call through. Good evening. You're on Spooky South Coast.
Hey Tim, how's it going? Love the show.
Going very well. How are you doing tonight?
Good. I have a question in terms of the specifics of this show. Let's go back to 1963, the original air date of The Living Doll, and Twilight Zone where Telly Savalas was battling an evil doll possessed, attacking him.
Talkie Tina.
Yep.
That's right. So now we need to go back to, are there any evidence of possessed dolls before this date, before it was inculcated into the national lexicon, imaginary, whatever you want to call it? Once you see it and it's in your mind, are there any evidence of haunted dolls before 1963, The Living Doll, The Twilight Zone?
Yep, Robert the Doll definitely
I'll
was.
take that off air.
Okay, have a great night. Yes, Robert the Doll definitely was before 1963.
Oh yeah, and you have voodoo dolls going back well before.
I want to say off the top of my head, I want to say Robert the Doll came to prominence in the 1940s. The story, at least, or at least that's when the story took place.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't want to talk out of turn. I mean, Robert the Doll came into the possession of Robert Eugene Otto in 1904. And in 1994, it was donated to the East Martello Museum. So the story would have happened in the early... Well, he got married in 1930. And that's when the doll really turned evil, was when he got married. So, you know, we're talking about a story that came about in those times. Now, I would have to do a little more digging to find out exactly when the story of Robert the Doll became public. Maybe that story didn't become public until after 1963. But I think it was kind of a known thing around Key West even before that Twilight Zone episode. But you mentioned voodoo dolls.
Actually, I think there was a haunted ventriloquist mannequin, if you want to go into TV lores, before 1963. Oh, God, there was a movie.
Well, I mean, Candace Bergen has said that when she was little, she would hear her father talking to Charlie McCarthy, and she would hear Charlie McCarthy talking even when her father wasn't around. So, I mean, I don't know how much of that was said tongue-in-cheek, but she has made mention of that before. So, for anybody that doesn't know, her father was Edgar Bergen, probably the most famous ventriloquist before Jeff Dunham, who I think is just terrible. He's a good ventriloquist. I just don't think he's funny.
Yeah. His act's all right.
And I like ventriloquism. I mean, I can't do it, but I enjoy watching it.
No Waylon Flowers and Madam type of person, is he?
I always wanted to work on a show like DC Follies when I was a kid, because it's like you get to be the puppet, but you don't actually have to learn to throw your voice.
Okay.
You know, I was fascinated with the Muppets as a kid. One of my favorite things that I've been able to do from all the stuff that we do here on Spooky South Coast was getting to meet Mike Quinn, who's an actual Muppeteer. And he was Nine Nub in Star Wars movies, and he's worked with Jim Henson for many years, Jim Henson Productions. And so to get the chance to actually talk to a real Muppeteer and find out all the ins and outs, that was amazing to me. But we were talking about dolls. There was something that we were talking about right before we went to the call, and I forgot. No.
You were talking about.
I said we'll
Claire,
definitely
the doll
mention
coming
that.
up.
Well, that's all right. That's okay. We have another call on the line. Well, it'll pop into our heads at some point. Good evening. You're on Spooky South Coast.
Good evening.
How are you?
Not bad. How about you?
All right. What's on your mind?
Well, you were talking about the Boy Scouts before, and then you got on to local history, overlooked, and somebody mentioned a patch, like a Bigfoot patch.
Mm-hmm.
It brought to my recollection a story that a friend of mine told me when I was in high school. This was back in the 70s. It was out in Freetown, and it was on Braley Road. If you're familiar with you go out to the industrial park, you take a right, you go up across a set of tracks, and you get to Four Corners there. That's Braley Road going left and right. Go take a right, go down, go over the railroad tracks, about a half a mile. That's where the guy used to live. His name was Bob. And he swore up one side and down another. Because we didn't have the stupid phones in those days, and he didn't have a car. So in order to amuse himself out there, he'd be walking around the woods and exploring. And he swore up one time down the other day. He was out there one night. He heard something taking like a small tree branch and banging on a tree trunk with it. 2 raps. So he was curious about it, so he banged 2 raps back. And then the thing banged 2 raps back to him. And this went on for a while. And apparently, I'm not sure if I get the story straight, but I think he said he saw it. And he said it was about 12 feet tall. And he said that when it turned and ran away finally, it left some hair up on one of the branches up around where it was, about shoulder level. And he said it was like the hair of a horse or something like that. But he told me this story a number of different times. And on the one hand, I don't believe him, but on the other hand, I don't believe he was lying. If that makes any sense to you?
Well, it does, but I mean, there's been lots of reports of things around. I mean, Moniz is out checking them out all the time.
I just got a report from a park ranger in the Freetown State Forest of a sighting of where this thing ran right in front of him in one of the access roads he was driving down.
Was it a Bigfoot?
Yeah.
I mean,
we're talking an official, not just some hiker or whatever. We're talking somebody that manages the
and is familiar with the wildlife that's in there.
Freetown State Forest and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not at liberty to say personal names, but yeah, we did take a report. Yeah.
And there's been numerous sightings around the Hockomock Swamp and the Taunton area, the Raynham area. I know Moniz, didn't you say that your mom saw one in Fairhaven
right
before?
here in Fairhaven. April 1967, right near New Boston Road. Right, well, when they were building 195.
So, I mean, this area does have a long history, and even the Native Americans from this area would talk about them as well. So,
is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This
in the native lore?
Oh, yeah.
I know that the mistake that a lot of people make is that, hey, we don't live in the mountains. We don't live in
Washington State or something.
Right. But there's still been all kinds of creatures seen around here. I mean, there's still
Florida.
You get reports all the time.
You don't get more flat than that.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, you get reports all the time of stuff in the Bridgewater Triangle and stuff in the Blue Hills and.
Well, the Blue Hills, not as much. The historical record of them are definitely in the Blue Hills.
Not necessarily Bigfoot in the Blue Hills, but we hear about other creatures in the Blue Hills that don't belong in this area.
Correct. Okay.
The giant cats that are seen in there. And
the supposedly extinct eastern mountain lion. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's certainly a lot of high strangeness around here, but it doesn't. It's just strange because we don't see it all the time. It's part of the fabric of this area.
But people report Bigfoot once in a while around here, and the Native Americans did too, you say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good one. And that's something that I think is overlooked about this area too, is that a lot of we can say, hey, we don't know about, we have this report, we have that report, we have this report, we have that. We have thousands of years of reports from before we got here, if we just pay attention to them. But most people don't. Most people look at the way that the natives looked at this area, and they think that because they were, these paganistic,
as they called them, savages.
Right. That I didn't want to use the word, but
saying it.
I know that you weren't using it yourself, but
mainly because it happened to be part one. But yeah, okay.
But that's the way that they're perceived, and so it's easy to dismiss a lot of what it is that they saw and that they interacted with. But that has a bearing on what we have to deal with today. So if they're telling you that these things were around, there's no reason to think that they aren't still around here today, or at least something that both the early natives and ourselves are mistaking for a Bigfoot. But like I was saying before, when a park ranger tells you that they see something, they're familiar with what kind of wildlife is in that forest. They know what they're going to see when they're out on patrol. So for them to say that this was something like that, they know that it's something that doesn't belong there. And people will say all the time, when they tell us that they saw a Bigfoot around here locally, they'll say, well, it could have been a bear. Well, that's just as weird around here. I mean...
yeah. Because supposedly we haven't had bear around here in something like 80 years.
Right. No, I mean, we get that one bear that likes to go on vacation to the Cape.
Yeah.
But somehow goes over the bridge and nobody ever catches him.
Yeah, but any type of, large bear population, no. And I think
I kind of want to know
the largest they get around here is like maybe the size of a collie.
And I'm cool with Bigfoot being around here. because if Bigfoot's here, he's been here for a long time, and I don't have to see him if I go out into the woods. He's avoiding me like I'm trying to avoid him. You know, he's doing a pretty good job of hiding himself. The bears kind of bother me because the bears mean now that when I go out into the woods, I got to worry about there being bears out there. Bears aren't like Bigfoot. Bears want to know what I'm doing when I go out into the woods. So it's almost like I'm less afraid of Bigfoot than I am of bears. So yes, please, if you think that it's a bear, that's just as freaky.
No,
and
don't get me wrong. We used to have tons of bear around here. And
right, we just killed them all.
Yeah, basically.
And or drove them away.
Yeah.
Except for that one bear that somehow just keeps going to the Cape every year. I don't know how he does it. Like there's cameras on the
bridge, yeah.
And like they will, whenever he's caught, they'll be like, "Oh, the bear was seen crossing the Cape Cod Canal over the Bourne Bridge." Nobody thought to stop and ask him, like, "What are you doing? Where are you going?" I want to know, does he take the Bourne Bridge or the Sagamore Bridge? Because there's a state police barracks right on the Bourne Bridge. Like you think they would see him and be like, "Whoa, hold on there, buddy." But no, he just or
does he wait till the train bridge goes down and run right behind
possible.
the train?
He doesn't. There's somebody said that he must swim across the canal, but there's no way he swims across the canal.
That's rough swimming.
Yeah, there's no way that a
maybe
bear
there really
across the
maybe
canal.
there really is a tunnel.
Maybe that's it. But then the question is, does he have the sticker?
There's people out there that have no idea what we're talking about, which is good.
Right. We want him to keep thinking there's a Cape Cod Canal tunnel.
Cape Cod Tunnel.
Yes.
Don't forget the zip line.
Or the
I don't think I've seen this.
The catapult.
The catapult. Yeah, the Bourne police always talk about. Well, there used to be a drawbridge.
Oh, you're talking the 1800s.
Well, when they first built the canal,
when they
in the
first dug
early
ditch,
1900s, when they first dug it out, I mean, there was always a bridge there because it was never just straight full land.
Right.
It was always.
That's what they did. They followed. There was a river there or whatever it was.
But when they built the canal, when they dug out the canal, what was that 1904 or 19?
No, it was in the 1800s.
It was in the 1900s that they dug it out.
There was a first attempt that was done in the 1800s.
I want to say 1904. I don't know. Since we just had, actually, no. What am I talking about? I'm talking out of my ass here. We just had the 100th anniversary of the Cape Cod Canal a couple of years ago. We just had.
The way it stands now, yes.
July 29th, 1914. They began construction June 22nd, 1909.
There was another attempt in the late 1800s. That's what they first started on.
When they first did this digging, they put up a wooden bridge, and you can still find photos of it. There's still photos of it, and they had a wooden drawbridge that went over it. And then in the 1930s, when
they built the metal bridges
under the New Deal, and they were trying to put people to work during the Depression, they funneled federal money into building those two bridges that are there now. Which, by the way, those bridges are almost 100 years old and they work fine. What's the New Bedford Fairhaven Bridge's excuse? Why is that so terrible? It's a little bit older than that, but still. Yeah. Is that giving an opinion? Working in news, I think it's generally accepted that everybody hates that bridge.
Yeah.
Except people who work on it like it, but I think most people don't like it. But they
like it when it works.
But you can, that's true. You can go back and you can look at like Cape Cod Canal original bridge, and you can see photos of what used to be there. It's pretty cool stuff. When the 100th anniversary of the canal was being celebrated, I wrote a newspaper story about it, and I got to see I went down to the Canal Information Center, and I got to see some of the old photos. It was really cool, like to see just the process of how they did it, and just imagine what kind of stuff that they must have dug up when they were digging that up. And for those of you from outside the area who come and visit Cape Cod, right over the canal on the Cape side is one of the most haunted cemeteries in the world. There's the cemetery right there that Jerry Ellis was the caretaker for. Remember when we had we did that show years ago? But you can still check that cemetery out for yourself. 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. Bart L wants to know when the show starts. I mean, I know that we can't be as exciting as the programming on BartLLegacy.com. Bart coins. I just earned Bart coins. But for those of you who are interested, if you go to the kingdomofnightradio.com site, which is Bart L's new venture. After our show, you can hear a classic episode of Lights Out. Did you ever listen to Lights Out, Moniz? The old, like, 1930s radio program. It was actually one of those.
It was like, I think I know what you're talking about.
It was one of those ones that started off on radio, but it made the transition to television, and it was one of the early, like, paranormal, like, horror-themed TV shows. But it started out on radio, and then for a while it was on radio and television, and then it was, I think they made films, too, based on it. I think they actually had a series of theatrical films based on it, which, while we're talking about weird films, I got to ask you, William Castle, are you a fan? Do you know William Castle?
Not ringing.
Matt, do you know William Castle's films?
It's not familiar.
So he was the director who thought that he was going to be, Hitchcockian by putting himself in his films, but he also put gimmicks in all of his films. So he directed the original 13 Ghosts.
Okay, I know 13 Ghosts.
Did you know that when it originally came out in the theater, there was a gimmick to it where you would wear basically 3D glasses that were only the blue lens. And so what it would be is if you didn't want to see the ghosts, you would wear the glasses, or if you wanted to see the ghosts, you would wear the glasses. And if you didn't want to see them, you take them off. So the ghosts, when they appeared on the screen, would only appear if you were wearing the glasses. And he had other gimmicks too. And recently, Svengoolie showed Mr. Sardonicus, which was a really good movie. Like, if and it's very over the top and goofy, but that had the gimmick of letting the audience decide what they wanted the fate of Sardonicus to be. So at the end of the movie, when it's time for him to meet his fate, you would have to hold up a card, and it was literally a thumbs up. And so if you wanted him to
Narfel de Garthok?
I don't want to ruin the plot line of the movie, but if you wanted him to have a happy ending, you held the thumbs up. And if you want him to have his due, you held the thumbs down. And William Castle on the screen actually counts. He's like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then he would tell the projectionist which ending to run based on how the audience voted. And I'm just watching this thinking, like, this is so much fun, but I wonder if audiences really believed it. Like, as they're watching it. Are they thinking, it's like, or were those the same people that still watch wrestling and, like, think that it's, like, not predetermined? Because
Okay.
there are some of those people, trust me. I dealt with it last night.
Yeah.
I had people that really thought that I was getting into a fight with one of the wrestlers. So,
You actually have done that.
damn you, Thunder from Down Under, Michael Foster. We are going to have some serious words going forward. Oh, he tried to cheat again, and this time I caught him in time, and I let the referee know. For those of you who don't know, I'm the ring announcer for a local wrestling organization, and I let them know that I saw him cheating, and the referee actually restarted the match. Somehow the Thunder from Down Under, Michael Foster, still won the match and kept the title, but still, he didn't get away with cheating, at least this one time. He went to go use the chain. See, last month, he actually used the chain, and the referee didn't see it, so he was able to cheat to win. And even though I tried to protest the victory, they had the referee's decision stand. This time he went to use the chain, but he dropped it when the ref turns around, and he tried to act like the other guy used the chain on him. No, those tricks don't fly with me. I watch a lot of wrestling. I know all the tricks.
Let me know when we get to the folding chair and the table.
There was a folding chair last night. Donnie Rotten brought a folding chair into the ring to try to use on Jammin' Jack Connor in their match for the House of Brick Southern New England Championship. And it actually ended up working out so that Donnie ended up hitting himself in the face with the steel chair. So that's what happens when you try to bring stuff in. We are just about out of time for this hour. We're going to take a break for the news because we're on the radio tonight, so we'll take a news break. When we come back on the other side, we'll talk some more paranormal, I promise. We'll also take your calls at 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. I just want to let everybody know real quickly that next weekend, if you're up in this area, the Middleborough Paracon is taking place, and you can go and check out all the people who are going to be there giving lectures. I'm going to be talking about the Bridgewater Triangle. Stephanie Burke's going to be there. It'll be my first time seeing her in like a month. And Scott Porter from Haunted Towns and Ghost Asylum is going to be there. A great lineup of people. Mark Arvila. So come on out to that. There'll also be some vendors. It's a great day. overall, and I believe it's free admission, so it's definitely worth coming and checking out. It'll be at the Middleborough Town Hall next Saturday, and if you have some time next Friday night and you want to join us, I'll be at the Smith Harris House in Niantic, Connecticut. It's a village of East Lyme, Connecticut. We have an event going on there, a spooky night at the Smith Harris House, so that we can help raise some money for them as well. We still have some tickets available for that. You can get those at SpookySouthCoast.com. Get them. They're about halfway sold out, but I think as we get closer to Friday night's event date, that might get a little tighter. So if you want to go to that, try and grab your tickets now. It's a great old historic place, and they need all the help they can get with keeping things going and keeping things alive there. So we're trying to do our part by bringing some paranormal fans in there. And last time we were there, the place was active as heck. So you can get your tickets for that at SpookySouthCoast.com and hopefully join us there next Saturday night. All right, so we are going to take a break for the news. We'll come back on the other side with more of your calls here on Spooky South Coast. Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Spooky South Coast. Tim Weisberg here, along with the silent assassin Matt Costa and science advisor Matt Moniz. And we are talking about the paranormal, as we do each and every Saturday night. And as I mentioned before the break, you can actually come out and hear me and some other folks, including Stephanie, talking about the paranormal next week at the Middleborough Paracon, which will be happening at the Middleborough Town Hall. You can find all the information at middleboroughparacon.com, as well as on Spooky South Coast social media, and I'll be posting about it all week long. You can follow me on Twitter at Tim Weisberg. You can follow the show on Twitter at SpookySC. I hit 5,000 Twitter followers this week, if I can brag. Yeah, that's a big deal for me, because I've been trying to get there forever. And I'm like the least followed paranormal person, and I'm just kidding. And of course, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. If you're in the chat room right now watching the show, hi to everybody there. Go ahead and just click that subscribe button for us. Help us out. That way there, you'll know when the show goes live each and every week. And also, in addition to being able to hang out with Stephanie and myself next Saturday, would you want to spend an entire week on a cruise ship with us? Because you can do that too. That's coming up. In May of 2019, we are having the Wicked Waters Cruise. Myself, Stephanie, Scott Porter from Haunted Towns and Ghost Asylum, and we're working on maybe another special guest or two as well. You can join us for a week-long cruise from Boston to Bermuda through the Bermuda Triangle. And we're going to have some cool stuff associated with the cruise. We're going to try and do a ghost hunt in Bermuda. We're working on some different locations that we might be able to get and check out down there. We'll definitely have some sort of group activity to do in Bermuda. But we're also going to have lectures on the cruise itself. You'll have a gallery reading, I believe, with Stephanie on the cruise. So, and of course, dinners with us, cocktail parties with us, all kinds of fun. Listen, it's not like going to an event where you get to hang out with us for a couple. Like, we're going to be on the ship with you all week long. We're going to be hanging out. We're going to be having a good time. We'll swim in the pool. We'll go in the jacuzzi. We'll spend a lot of time at the bars because the drink package is included with your ticket. So if you want to take part in the Wicked Waters Cruise, just go to wickedwaterscruise.com and sign up now. For a limited time, you can actually just put $50 down to reserve your spot. And then you have all the way until January to have to make full payment. So you can reserve your spot right now for $50. But if you're going to do that, do me a favor. Use my promo code TIM, T-I-M. Use that promo code. That will get you that $50 deposit to be able to reserve your spot. And if you want to use Stephanie's promo code, you can use the promo code BURKE, B-U-R-K-E. But since she's not here, I'm going to promote my own promo code. So there you go. And definitely there's some of the people that have already signed up for this cruise are people that I have cruised with before. And they are all a good time, and we will have a blast. So you definitely want to get involved with this, because there's going to be some crazy karaoke going on. There's going to be some really weird late night conversations by the pool taking place. Who knows what's going to happen. And so we'll be on the Norwegian Gem for 7 days, Boston to Bermuda. And we will be having a spooktacular time. wickedwaterscruise.com. Use my promo code TIM.
How much?
I think when all is said, it all depends on what room you pick, because there's different types of rooms on a cruise ship. So you can have an inside stateroom that doesn't have a window. You can have one that has a window. You can have a balcony that has like a sliding glass door that's high enough up so that you're not letting water in when you open the door, thankfully. But you know, and then sometimes you get rooms that are closer to the front or the back of the ship, and those are a different price based on, you know, because they're a little louder. So there's all these different price tiers, but I think the basic price tier is something like $1,300 a person, which is really good for a cruise, for a 7-day cruise.
7 days
from Boston to Bermuda. And for those of you who've never been on a cruise before, because I had never been until a couple of years ago going on the first Strange Escapes cruise, I didn't realize just how much it is kind of all-inclusive. So you pay that price, but what you're also getting is you're going to eat. There's a buffet where you can eat as many times as you want a day, but you can eat all 3 meals there every day. If you want to have 10 meals, you can have 10 meals. But there's a buffet. There's 2 main dining rooms, and there's a couple of different specialty restaurants that are all included with your cruise package. There's a couple other restaurants that you can pay a little bit more to go to, but they're not super expensive. You know, there's a steakhouse where you could go and you can get a nice steak for $18, or they have a sushi place where you can go and get sushi pretty much priced the same way it would be on the land. So that's all included, though, as long as it's not one of the extra cost restaurants. And you can buy an ultimate dining package that'll allow you to eat anywhere you want if you want to do that. And if you want to join us on the cruise and you don't drink alcohol, you don't have to take the unlimited alcohol package. You can switch that out for the unlimited dining package and go eat in one of the fancier restaurants. But if you are a drinker, you want that unlimited dining, that unlimited drink package. Let me tell you, because it's great. The average cost of a drink on a cruise ship is $16.
Ooh, wow.
So you don't want to be footing the bill for that, because what happens is there's no cash on the ship. So you have a card, your room card, and so your credit card would be tied into that card. So if you don't have the package and you're just handing them that card every time you want to get a drink, that's $16 plus a tip every single time that you get a drink. And then when you get home, you have a $4,000 bill from all the drinks that you drank, when you could have just gotten the ultimate drink package as part of your cruise package with us. So I recommend doing that if you are a drinker, because we will be doing some drinking, that's for sure. I'm not a big drinker, but on the cruise, I definitely am. And it's nice because they have the drink of the day every day that you can.
I've drank with you before.
I'm definitely fun when I drink. I'm not the morose guy hiding in the corner.
Backyard barbecue is one good example.
Absolutely. So wickedwaterscruise.com if you want to take part in that. I recommend it. And at the very least, you get to see me in a bathing suit. So that's going to be all the fun that you need for a year, is just laughing at me walking around in my swim shorts. I'm not a very attractive man, so although I'm working on losing some weight, so maybe I could be in a little bit better shape.
Don't worry, you'll find it.
I'll definitely find it on the cruise between the buffet and the drinks.
Yeah, no doubt.
508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. Good evening. You're next on Spooky South Coast.
Good evening, Tim. I happened to just catch a show a little while ago, and that cruise sounds real interesting.
It definitely will be a fun time.
It sounds great. You know who this is, don't you?
I do. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, since one of your talk show hosts cut me off abruptly today, I figured I'd call you and let you know what I'm going to be receiving on Monday.
Cut you off today? Who cut you off today?
I won't give any names. I'm not.
Well, there's only 2 today, so I had it. Well, no, there's 3. So was it Jose?
Oh no.
Okay, because he's the guy that you definitely need to talk to.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it wasn't Jose, but it was his host.
Okay. Well, what's happening on Monday?
Monday, I'm going to receive everything.
Everything. So,
everything.
And by the way,
and I can give you a partial list right now.
Everything has changed since the last time that you called into this program. I know it went from being, millions with an M to now is it now a billion with a B?
Yes, it is.
So $1 billion now. You're going to bankrupt Publishers Clearinghouse.
No, that's from the state, because the state held my winnings only because I had a negative bank balance and they couldn't deposit my checks. So I had a lawsuit with the state, and that's where I'm getting my money from.
Wait a minute. So we're giving you $1 billion?
Well, more than than $1 billion.
I'm going to figure out what I paid for state taxes last year, and I'm going to need it back.
So I'll give you a rundown, but I won't give you exact figures on the billions. But
Okay.
I'll give you. I'm getting a brand new Mercedes S-Class. I'm getting a brand new Malibu. I'm getting 11 certified checks. I will give you the figures on one of them because this one in particular I will be receiving every month for the rest of my life, $7,000.
Well, that's a good deal.
And I'll be getting $500,000 in what they call disposable cash. It'll be in a briefcase, locked up. And I will be getting from the sweepstakes that I had paid in. They're going to reimburse me all the money that I sent in, and that's between $5,000 and $10,000. And that's going to be cash because they're going to come and stamp all the receipts, and then I'm going to get paid cash.
This might not be the most important thing on your list right now, but do you get to keep the briefcase that the money comes in?
I believe so.
Okay, because that would just be weird if they asked for you to empty it and then they could take it back.
In fact, it's a type of, to show you technology, it's the type of briefcase that you open with a telephone.
With a telephone?
And I'm going to keep the telephone as well.
That's helpful. It's better, too, that it's that, not like a thumbprint, because then that runs the risk of somebody wanting to cut off your thumb.
Right.
Are you in need of armed security?
Let me tell you this. Now, all this is stored away in a storage facility in Taunton. And it's being delivered by my corporate lawyer, my FBI agent, a couple of Marines, I believe, and an IRS man, because all this is going to be tax-free.
Yeah.
Tax-free?
Then what do you need the IRS guy for?
Well, because
I know, he's got to sign off.
Well, because, you see, I had to pay, on the last portion, I had to pay state and federal taxes, but that is going to be reimbursed. That's why the IRS guy is going to be... See, I won't be taxed this year. I'll be taxed the following year.
Yeah, well, yeah, that would make sense because you'll be paying next year you will pay the taxes for this year.
Right.
So you receive...
And I won't give you the figure on the 10 certified checks, but let me put it to you this way. I could probably buy Massachusetts about 10 times.
Well, I can tell you right now, you should be glad for Donald Trump then, because you're definitely in that 1%.
Yeah, that tax bracket is going to be mighty high.
Yeah, you're gonna be in one of those brackets for sure.
And I don't know if I told you, but I am purchasing me and Ed's for my nephew.
I'd heard that. I'd heard that on the air.
And I'm going to be looking for a restaurateur because I'm also going to buy the Edge, and I'm going to make that a sports bar. But I want to put a prominent athlete's name on it, and I want to speak with him and his agent and lawyer regarding royalties and whatnot. It's going to be I want it to be a prominent sports bar for the city, and I'll be looking for a restaurateur for that.
Well, I'm retired from that field, so unfortunately, I'll have to withdraw myself from consideration.
Oh, because I thought you said you were... Well, maybe you might know somebody that might be interested.
Well, maybe. I mean, maybe. I might. Depends on who the prominent sports star is that you're talking to.
I haven't spoken to this star yet. It's in the works.
Okay. I wouldn't recommend O.J. Simpson.
No.
That's
far from it.
Okay, because people might not feel too comfortable going in there and seeing the steak knives on the table.
Let me put it to you this way: it's a Boston sports figure.
Okay, well, hopefully it's not Julian Edelman.
Prominent Boston sports figure. And I'm also thinking of putting up Smuggler's Den right next door. And I'm also thinking of running fast ferries to the islands and to Connecticut. And I'm also thinking of bringing back a party boat for midnight cruises, the Moonlight Cruises, because that was big when I was 18, the Moonlight Cruise.
Yeah, that's
that was
definitely a good idea.
And see, it was a good deal for me, even though Gene Almeida was a scumbag. But I worked with a good friend of mine who used to set up for him, And for me, it was a treat because I used to help them bring the equipment on board, help them set up. I got paid $20, and I drank free all night.
Wow.
It was for an 18-year-old. It was a dream come true.
I do love the fact that you are diversifying and you're not putting everything into. I mean, with that kind of money, of course, you can diversify. But I like that you are spreading it out so that you're not putting all your eggs into too many baskets. But you gotta look at some of the future as well. So it's not just about the here and now, but it's the future.
That's why I want to sit down with Jose. I'm going to sit down with him and my corporate lawyer.
Jose won't tell you some of the stuff that I can tell. I will tell you that you want to invest in Bartcoin. Trust me on that.
Yeah.
Well, like I say, I'm gonna discuss because I don't think I have found anybody more honest in the investment field and tax field. In fact, I was really shocked to find out my parents have their taxes done by somebody, and I was really shocked to find out they got recently. I think today or the day before, they got a check from income taxes, but their previous one was only like $300 on the federal tax, and I know my parents, being retired, deserve more than $300.
Well, I can tell you that we talked earlier about all the different spots, the historical spots that are associated with the paranormal field that need money, that are looking for benefactors.
Well, that's something else I'm going to look into. Like I told you, a friend of mine rented a place years ago on, I believe it was River Road in Acushnet, down by the sawmill.
Mm-hmm.
And the date on the stairway was something like 1700 something, and my buddy swore the place was haunted.
That whole area is. So yeah, no, absolutely.
And I would like to do something with the forts because I would really love to get down there when you go ghost hunting down there. I would
rehab
really
the fort,
love to
and can I also recommend the New Bedford Armory?
Absolutely. In fact,
the Armory, definitely.
In fact, that's a building that I'm thinking about buying and giving it to the National Guard, because I went in years ago. I went into that building. We used to have the Scoutorama shows in there, and I was amazed. That building has underground garages and everything. That building is so big. I don't know if you've ever been through it.
I have, and
oh, you have. That's a huge building.
This is Matt. I work here with him on.
Oh, okay. Nice talking to you.
Pleasure. The company I'm working for now, we were actually thinking of buying it and working and making it a place to build armor and body armor for the military and police.
Hey, that's another good idea. That's a very good idea.
Well, I mean, it's already fortified, so.
Well,
minus all the inside work that has to get done, though, because the entire second floor is collapsed.
Yeah, I know.
And I understand that what caused it is the roof is gone, too.
Yeah, it's the roof that's caused the problem.
And what I was figuring on doing is I was figuring on buying, because I'm sure that where it's got all that repair work, I can probably buy it for next to nothing and have all the repair work done through different contractors and whatnot. And like I say, I was thinking of giving it to the National Guard. But if you want to manufacture,
I wouldn't mind being a tenant. And what we're looking to do, we're getting our finalization of certification to the National Institute of Justice. That's what you got to do. You send your material to them, they certify it, and then you can sell it through contracts and stuff like that. Oh. We're getting ready to rock and roll right now, and once we got our certification, which will be in another 2 months, we're going to be hiring off-duty or retired police and military veterans to help manufacture.
Hey, that's great. I like that.
So now this is all going down on Monday. On Monday,
well, I'm receiving this on Monday.
You're meeting with everybody you're meeting them in Taunton? Is that where it's going to happen?
No, they're going to deliver to my house.
Okay.
And what I intend to do is I'm going to surprise everybody at BSM. I think what I'm going to do is have catered a whole week of coffee and pastries in the morning, and maybe cater lunch in the afternoon, either through the butcher shop or a place like that where they can do like hamburgers, hot dog, outside food.
Sure, I'm all for that.
They may even broadcast outside if the weather's good enough.
I'm all for that. Now, are you going to gonna keep Chris on? You're not gonna buy us up and fire Chris like you've been saying you're going to, are you?
Oh yeah.
You are?
Yes, because Chris, I liked Chris in the beginning, but he pulled something on me that I didn't like as far as respect. I called his show when he was virtually doing a monologue, and one of the listeners called up and wanted to know how much I was going to get from my sweepstakes. So I returned the call, and he abruptly cut me off, and then he told me, which I knew the ruling.
Right. It's a one call per show. Yeah.
Like Barry and I went to school together, and I always ask him if I call a second time. I say, well, if I'm going to break the rule, I'll hang up. And he says, oh, no, tell me what you want to tell me. And I do the same with Ken, and I do the same with Phil. And he abruptly cut me off, but he has his favorites.
Well, but Chris is also new,
well,
so he knows that they're...
He's not all that new.
They're keeping an eye on him.
Because I went and spoke to him in the very beginning, back in the summertime when I first hit the sweepstakes, and he knew what was going on. But like I say, he's got his favorites. He had, as much as I like that Ferris Freud that calls,
right,
and Dirty Deb.
Ferris never seems to call our show,
and a couple others, but he allows them to call his show. Like one time, Ferris called his show 4 times.
That's
and he let it go through.
That's too much.
And so I'm and then last week he started mocking me because I told him I was going to make billions. So as far as I'm concerned, he totally disrespected me.
I think that's just kind of his shtick. I don't think he means any disrespect. He's just what he likes to do. He likes to goof on people.
And if I decide to rehire him, I'll do that on my own. Because he also had the audacity to say to me when I told him, he said, oh, I'll look forward to getting laid off in the summer. I said, you're not going to be laid off. You're going to be fired. He thought he was going to collect. I told him, I said, you're not going to collect because you're going to be fired.
Well, I think it's all shtick with him. Besides, he's Congressman Keating's favorite host, so we need to make sure that we keep him around for that.
That doesn't matter, because what I would like to do, but at the end of this week or so, I'd like to have all the new Republican and independent candidates that are running against our current delegation. I'd like them to be at BSM either Friday or Saturday, and I would also like all our city councilors and the mayor to be there too, because with this money I also intend to boost personnel on police, fire, EMS.
Can you replace the bridge? That would be huge.
Well, it's a possibility, but I also want to see the sheriff because I want to send some money to build the wall.
That's you lost me at that one. I'm.
You know the wall. You know the wall that Trump wants to build?
I know, but
well, I want to send some money because I can work it out with Trump, because all he has to do is, you know how these illegals send their money home, which he's going to do anyway. He's going to up the tax, so when they send money home, they're going to pay something like 25% or more.
Well, the Sheriff Hodgson has started a new program, and there's a fundraiser coming where you can donate directly, so the government won't be paying for the wall. It'll be paid for by private donations.
Right, and you see, what I'll do is that. But then, if they up the taxes on the money they send out, it can be like a non-interest loan.
Can you do me a favor though? I have a personal request.
What's that?
And I don't want to have to take any of your money. I will find a way to pay you back for this. But there's a piece of property out in the desert out in Nevada that it's got a nice house and it's got a shed on it, and I'd really like to purchase that property from the current owner.
Oh.
So if you could see fit to just float me a loan to be able to purchase that, and there's an entire radio empire legacy built into that too. I think it would be
really?
Art Bell's place.
I'm turning that in my
phone. That sounds good. Maybe I could float you a non-interest loan.
That would be fantastic. Well, at the very least, I look forward to getting a week's worth of food, and that's all you need from me. And I won't hang up on you, and I can't let you call twice, but I will definitely take your calls.
All of you guys at BSM have always treated me with respect, with the exception of Mr. McCarthy.
That's if he didn't respect you, he wouldn't even take your calls. So
and
he's
like
just
I,
it's
and
just
like I
shtick with
say,
him.
what I intend to do. Do you remember Open Line back in the day? Well, so you're not as old as I am.
No, but you're Stan Lip and Open Line. Yep.
But they used to have two people. Stan Lip and I believe it was Hal Peterson.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And when I was a kid, I saw them when they used to broadcast on the bridge. So that gives my age away a little bit.
Well, hey.
And what I would like to do is I would like to get back Pete Braley to go on with Phil in the morning, and instead of from 6 to, what are they on, 6 to 10?
Well, yeah, Phil's on 6 to 10.
I would like them to go 6 till noon. And then I would like to get Barry with somebody else to go noon to 6. And then have another shift so that it would be, so you wouldn't have to go syndicated all the time. It could be a 24/7 radio station.
I'd love to be here doing paranormal talk overnight if you can see fit to make that happen.
Well, like I say, that all has to come when I get my purchase and sale agreement for Town Square Media.
Now you do realize though that Town Square Media is not just our two stations.
Oh, I realize that.
It's and also the other problem is it's a publicly traded company, so there may be you may just have to purchase out all the shares from the shareholders to be able to buy it back. Jose would know better than I do how all that works, but
well, I'll tell you, like I told you, I'm going to have enough money to buy Massachusetts about 10 times. I don't think I'll have a problem with Town Square Media.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for the call. Keep us updated on what happens on Monday.
Oh, I'm going to keep you guys in mind, and like I say, there's a lot I want to do for the city. There's a lot I want to do for the radio station, and most important, a lot I want to do for my family.
Absolutely. Take care of them first and foremost.
And like I say, who knows, Tim, that place you're looking for in Nevada, who knows, maybe things will work out for you.
Well, let's hope so, but I certainly, I'm thankful just if you drop off some food. That's good enough for me. That's all it takes to win me over is food.
That's not a problem.
All right. Thank you, sir. You have a great night.
You also. We'll be talking.
All right. Take care.
Yep. Bye-bye.
508-996-0500. We should do a whole show some night of ideas of how we can invest all that money, because that's a lot of money. And
you got my wheels turning. The number of different paranormal places, haunted places that could really use that.
He had called a few weeks ago. You weren't in the studio, but he had called a few weeks ago because he was interested in buying the Lizzie Borden bed and breakfast, and I think he got his wires crossed a little bit and thought that the 92 2nd Street house was for sale, because he was talking about it being for $800,000.
Oh, Maplecroft.
That was Maplecroft, but now that's been purchased too. So he definitely, he has I think he said his sister wanted to run a bed and breakfast, but he's definitely a supporter of the paranormal. So,
he wants a bed and breakfast. I got a friend that's actually selling one in Marion.
It doesn't have any money. Come on.
Okay.
Monies.
Hey.
Yeah. You're a good person, Monies. 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. That caller has now been dubbed Mr. Massachusetts from somebody in the chat room.
Okay.
So from when he calls in next time, he can let everybody know that it's Mr. Massachusetts calling. We were getting a lot of ideas in the chat room from people, too, of ways that he could invest some of that money. But one of the suggestions that came up was that he could sign up for Parabox Monthly.
Oh.
And with that kind of money, he wouldn't even need to use the special promo code Spooky Live to get 10% off. But for the rest of us that still have to pay the IRS our taxes and don't get that top 1% kind of special treatment and do want to save where we can all use the promo code Spooky Live for 10% off at Parabox Monthly. They have silk screened soft style t-shirts that are super comfortable, but also have puzzles built into them. puzzles in the form of codes, ciphers, riddles, numbers, images, or other hidden gems, so you can have fun exploring the design and putting the pieces together to figure out where to go next. You can get them on a month-to-month plan, a 3-month plan, or a 6-month plan. He's totally going for the 6-month plan. He's going all out. There's no contracts. You're free to cancel at any time, so give it a try. You've got nothing to lose. Paranormal themes that they offer on the Parabox t-shirts include ghost and haunted locations, UFO encounters and aliens, folklore and legends, cryptozoology, and urban legends. He's signing up for a 6-month plan on all of those.
Why wouldn't anybody else?
Well, he doesn't need the promo code. But if you do, you can use the promo code SpookyLive and get 10% off at paraboxmonthly.com. I hope that when he shows up here and he is bringing the food and, you know, having all the delegation here, the congressional delegation and the city councilors, I hope he's wearing some Parabox Monthly gear.
You know, this is my first time hearing him, or you know the background to this. I'm new to this.
Well,
so.
we'll fill you in.
Okay.
We do have another call on the line. Good evening. You're on Spooky South Coast.
Hi. I just caught by the latter part of, I know it's Spooky South Coast, and I get a kick out of it. I just caught a gentleman talking about the programming at WBSM, which generally I like. I like all you people. I like you when you're doing the news. I have one major problem, and maybe it's because it's baseball season. And the first thing I like is I love Jim Bohannon, and I'm glad you have him. Due to the Red Sox baseball, who I love also, it looks like you're using a filler after, if the game ends early.
Right, it goes over to NBC Sports, I believe.
No, it goes over to that. I hate to use bad words. I won't use them over the radio. Pass along the word, please. Get that Shapiro character.
Oh, Ben Shapiro. That's actually something that comes from our the network provider. So it's the network that actually made the decision to put Ben Shapiro on at that time, and then to have Jim Bohannon come on after him. So
I like Jim Bohannon, but that Shapiro, nobody can understand. Not nobody, but most of the people I talk to. He talks too fast.
Yeah, he's very rapid fire in his delivery, but that's a network decision. So when the games are over, our system connects to the network, and so what the network is running is what the network is running. So they're the ones that actually made that decision. So
can you pass a word, my complaint?
I certainly will.
I've seen him on Fox, and what he says might be okay, but people can't understand him. I don't know why. He just talks so much.
Maybe we can get it to come in at 3/4 speed, so it's a little bit slower, because he does deliver very rapid fire.
Oh, it's terrible. I don't even know what he says half the time. Please pass it a word. Pass it to. I know your program director is
Michael Rock.
Is what?
Michael Rock.
Mike Rock. Pass it on to him, and pass it on to Phil.
I will do so.
Who I've known for many years. I think he's a wonderful person, and I also like your daytime. I like your station, but I have talked to other people today. Who is this guy that is on after the Red Sox, or if the Red Sox aren't on, they put him on for a full hour. I don't know what he has for supper, breakfast, or what. He is. I'm not trying to be funny, but he's
definitely.
I stay up late at night, and if I can listen to Bohannon late at night, who is very intelligent, I stay awake. But the minute that I won't use any bad words. It's been several weeks of him, and I just turned the radio off.
Well, I will definitely pass it on. Maybe when our last caller buys Town Square Media, then we won't have to worry about that anymore, because he's going to put a local host on in that spot. So
Well, I like the local host too. By the way, I like I know his brother Robin, Richard. I like him also.
All right, I will pass that on.
Obviously, you can tell I'm basically a Republican, and even that I'm trying not to say any bad words. Even that guy that rapid fire guy, I've seen him on television too. Once in a while,
sure, yeah, no, he's had a lot of exposure recently.
Yes, and I just wish they'd get rid of him. Get rid of him at least on WBSM. I don't care where else he goes. I listen to your station a lot, and I just happen to catch that.
We've had a few other complaints, so I will definitely pass that on to the management.
I don't care. Put somebody on local. I don't care.
Hey, all paranormal talk, I say, at night. That works for me.
Yes, and I hope you will pass it on. I know these things take time, and I'm glad. Thank you for sticking with me, for listening to me.
Well, thank you for listening to us.
And I like your show even now. On Saturday nights, I get a kick out of it.
Well, thank you so much. You have a great night.
I will, sir.
Take care.
Thank you.
See, even Republicans listen to Spooky South Coast.
And a few, you also have one on it.
I'm just making a joke.
Well, actually, I'm registered as independent.
I'm just making a joke. 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. This is an interesting show tonight. I said we were going to have a paranormal potpourri. We were going to have open lines. We were going to talk about a lot of different topics. And this has definitely gone in a direction that I wasn't expecting tonight. So who knows where else it can go in the last 15 minutes. That's up to you. 508-996-0500, 877-996-1420. I got to say.
That's what happens when you open the lines.
When everything that happens here on the station is above my pay grade. So all I can do is I can pass on the messages. But when it comes to the programming, I can't make any promises. Because as I said, that's a network feed. So we switched to the Westwood One network at night, and the Westwood One network chose to change Jim Bohannon's time slot to bump him back and to put Ben Shapiro in there. So
right, it's beyond anybody's real control.
Right. If we're connecting to Westwood One, that's who's on. So we can't say to Westwood One, hey, can you just put Jim Bohannon on at that time, because we'd rather have him than Ben Shapiro.
It's a local network trying to tell, the national network, hey, can you change this guy?
So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'll pass on the message. Yeah. Who knows what can happen? Who knows what they can do to kind of switch things around? I know that when the Red Sox are on the radio and you want to still hear Spooky South Coast, you certainly can, because we broadcast live on YouTube, and you can jump in the chat room there on YouTube. And we've had a full house in there all night long. So thank you to everybody for coming in and hanging out with us in there. And if you've never enjoyed the show live, if you listen to us on podcast, or if you watch the videos later on YouTube, you got to come on a Saturday night and hang out and enjoy the conversations that go on in there. Talk to our buddy Nightbot, who's always hanging out in there. Mm-hmm. Nightbot will tell you some jokes. And if you want to know when we're live, you can just subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us. And I also think, too, that Nightbot's learning, maybe more for the bad than the good, from some of the people in the chat room. Maybe they're not such a good influence on him. Those bell gabbers are in there kind of influencing Nightbot, but Nightbot might eventually become full AI and take over.
How do you know it isn't already?
Well, if he is, he's just really biding his time.
Yep.
And Ghosty's in there. Ghosty's in there handing out orbs. Ghosty could become fully aware, self-aware at some point. Then we're all screwed, because we say we don't believe in orbs. And Ghosty's just going to keep doling them out.
I believe in orbs.
Well, we don't believe that they're paranormal.
Correct.
Most of the time.
Rarely.
99.9% of the time.
Yeah.
There have been some odd ones.
Yeah.
But you can't really argue with people about it.
With some, no.
I don't understand that. I don't understand why. Like, I would never want to have to be in the position. I mean, we get people that send us photos and want our opinions of them. And I always say the same thing. Here's what I think, but may I put it out to our audience and see what our audience has to say? Because I don't ever want to just give my own opinion about something. Because A, we have built this following and network of people, so why not get multiple opinions if you can?
Yeah.
But B, I wasn't there when the picture was taken. I don't know all the conditions. I have to take your word for it. So I'm not really qualified to give you a definitive answer. I can say, here's what I think it is, but I can't tell you for sure that that's what it is. If I say, hey, it really looks like cigarette smoke to me, and you tell me there was nobody smoking anywhere near that photo, I have to take your word for it. Even though to me, I know exactly what cigarette smoke looks like in a photo, and that's cigarette smoke. But there's that little bit of doubt because I wasn't there.
You're right. Yeah.
So that's why if somebody sends a photo, I always say, hey, let me put it out there. And the only time that I ever have people ever say, gee, I really wish you wouldn't do that, like I kind of just want to keep it between us, the only time it's ever that type of situation is when it's an orb photo. When somebody sends me an orb photo and they say, not everybody that sends one, but when that does happen, it's almost always an orb photo. Because they know deep down inside that I'm probably right. And if they put it out there and they get 400 people telling them the same thing I'm telling them, then they have no choice but to believe it. But if it's only me telling them, then they can say, well, I disagree, and go on their way. But we talked about this years ago, that as we made the move to digital, maybe a lot of these problems would start to go away. That maybe having higher quality and better megapixels for our photos and being able to, actually check the EXIF data and see if somebody has manipulated a photo in Photoshop. As this technology has progressed, it would make it harder to claim that something's a paranormal photograph. The opposite has happened. We've just had more of an explosion of people claiming this stuff is paranormal when it clearly isn't. Because now everybody can take those photos on the camera that's always in their hand or always in their pocket. So there's just a higher volume of photos coming in that are bogus.
Yeah.
And a higher volume of people that don't want to hear you tell them when the photo is bogus. So it's my new approach is when somebody sends me a photo and says, hey, what do you think this is? I think I caught orbs in my photo. Yup, it's definitely orbs. Because it is.
Yeah.
But you don't want me to explain to you why it's an orb. I can clearly see that it's a moth. I can clearly see the wings and the body and the fluttering action, but you don't want to hear that. You want to think it's Aunt Mabel. So it's Aunt Mabel to you. That's fine. So I'll just say it's an unexplained orb. Because it's just not worth it. It's not worth trying to teach people. If somebody comes at me and says, hey, I'm a paranormal investigator and I'm learning, and then I'll say, okay, well, I think it could be dust, and here's why, and here's where you can look for these certain telltale signs, and those people are usually like, thanks. But when it's just a random person that wants to share with you their photograph, there's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can say. I try to go through the same process to some degree with people who go out to see psychics and mediums who we know are just cold reading them. If we know that somebody's bogus, but they're going out and they're getting these readings done, and we know from as soon as they start telling us what happened. Oh, what do you mean you told them that you wanted to talk to your grandmother who died? Why'd you go in there telling them that right away? Well, because I didn't want to waste any time. I want to get right in. So you've already ruined it. You've already put that out there, and now it's easy for them to manipulate you. And again, not every psychic does, but there are ones that do. And so you try to explain to them that they should take that all with a grain of salt, and they don't want to hear it. So that's why, and I've argued with Stephanie about this on the show before, because being a legitimate psychic medium, she doesn't like it when just the same way, you know, a doctor doesn't like it if somebody's like, hey, I can take out your spleen in my van. You know, it makes a mockery of what it is that they do.
Yeah.
So I can totally understand where she's coming from. And I try to say, hey, listen, if somebody goes and it makes them feel better, then what's the harm? But she tells me all the time there is a harm, because you're harming what it is that she does. You're harming the energy that's being put out there into the universe, and you are harming that person. Even though you think you're helping them, you're making them now dependent on somebody who's a fraud. You're looking at me like you're expecting a Trump joke. I'm not going to make a Trump joke there. That's not. I will say this though. I was watching on Netflix. They have a documentary about Trump. That it's a 4-part documentary. It was made in England. It is a little bit slanted. You know, you can kind of tell that they're picking on him a little bit. But it's really fascinating if you want to go back and see, like, all the way back to the 70s and see the evolution of Donald Trump as a person. It's definitely worth checking out.
Do I have to?
I'm just putting that out there for people, because I know there's listeners who are saying, "Hey, Tim was Trump bashing tonight." No, go and watch. We got into this discussion, and we only have a few minutes, so I'll bring it up here. We got into this discussion the other day here at the station because Mika Brzezinski said that she heard from somebody that Donald Trump was complaining that he can't watch porn in the White House.
I think that was found to be inaccurate.
I totally believe that Donald Trump said that. I just don't believe he was serious about it. If somebody said to me, if I was the president of the United States and somebody said to me, so how do you like living in the White House? My response would probably be like, oh, it's great, except I can't watch porn. And I think that that's kind of how it was. I think it was a joke. You know, just kind of like goofing around, and somebody took that to be serious. So,
Trump taken out of context? No.
So, and bringing it back to the paranormal now. So if he can't watch porn because there's Secret Service all around all the time, can we watch porn if there's ghosts around all the time? Think about that later on tonight.
Here's one. Do ghosts watch porn?
I don't think that they would have to. I think it's like you can go to where that stuff is happening. I mean,
So are ghosts voyeurs?
Unless you think that they're trapped, you know, where they're trapped, and they can't go other places. Like, maybe we hear a lot of stories about, like, haunted brothels, haunted strip clubs. You know, the bar that we used to drink at used to be a brothel and was haunted by a guy who died in the act. So what was his name?
I
Frank?
actually saw him.
Was his name Frank? Was
Something
that his name?
like that, yeah. I was stone cold sober, and I watched him walk right through the wall. These two other people playing pool thought he was a real guy, and the only person that actually said something was the guy that was hammered. Did you see that? And we're all like...
Not the best witness.
But the point being is,
right,
all of us were sober, and the only person that said something was the guy that was smashed. So it's like, whoa.
Yeah, that was...
That place was wild.
It was pretty interesting when you've got, you know... I don't want to give away any affiliations, we'll say, but when you've got bikers standing around telling you, yeah, this place is haunted as hell. And you're like, okay, tell me more. I kind of want to hear this story now. But
why do you think I love working there? And
it's still a restaurant, so I'm sure they're still having experiences there. I just don't go there. I've never been there. I've heard good things now under the new owners, but I've never been.
I've been. It's actually not bad.
It's certainly, you know, the same setup as it was before, more
Roughly.
or less. Like,
yeah.
You know, you're still in the same building, so they're probably still having experiences. The only thing is that, you know, we always want to get up to the second floor, but you can't because it's all the heating ducts and everything.
I've been up there.
But you can't really move around.
Yeah. You got to step over all of the ducting work and things like that.
Yeah. Well, maybe the new owners will let us do a real investigation there.
Want me to talk to him?
We could just wait for Mr. Massachusetts to get all his money and we could just buy it. Then we don't need permission then. Then we can just go whenever we want. All right, well, that does it for this week's show. We'll be back next week with more paranormal talk. Definitely more paranormal talk than we had tonight. And we'll find out if Mr. Massachusetts collected his billions. I didn't ask the one question that I really wanted to ask.
And that was?
Why a Malibu?
Hey, nostalgia, maybe? Something you had as a kid?
I don't know. Like, if you're going to get a Mercedes S-Class?
Yeah.
So you're going to get one of those, like, and a Malibu? Like, go for...
How do you know he's not talking about an old Malibu?
You know what?
Like an old classic?
I'm just throwing this out there. If he wants to buy a car, you know, they have the new Dodge that's gone even beyond the Hellcat. They have the Dodge Exorcist.
Really?
Badass. It's the Dodge Demon, I guess, but it's the Exorcist edition or whatever. Yeah. Badass. And, you know, if he wants to drop one of those off here. Anyway, that does it for this week's show. I think that's called payola. I don't think I can actually actively ask.
You can't.
No, he's a listener. He's not a business. So I think I'm in the clear.
But isn't he going to be buying the place?
Well, then he's my boss. Then it's just a bonus.
Okay.
Then that's a different story. All right, so that does it for this week's show. If you want to catch any of our previous episodes, you can find them all on YouTube or wherever podcasts are found. We have over 500 episodes. Just about, 540 now is tonight's episode. So you can find them all online, all free, all for your entertainment and your enjoyment. Most of them will be entertaining and enjoyable.
And you were an English major?
Stay spectacular.